"Don't kill me, human. I'll warm your bed." The alien warrior pleaded on her knees. The Crowthian war fleet hung in the darkness of space like a swarm of metallic predators. Commander Zexther stood on the bridge of the flagship, his four eyes scanning the tactical displays with the cold precision that had made him legendary among his people. The screens showed a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. Intelligence reports called it Earth, home to a species that had only recently developed faster-than-light communication. Perfect prey. The Crowthians had built their empire on a simple principle. Find worlds with valuable resources, evaluate the native species, and conquer those too weak to resist. Earth had water, rare minerals, and a temperate climate that would suit Crowthian colonization perfectly. The humans who lived there seemed soft, divided into countless nations that squabbled among themselves. Their technology was primitive compared to the might of the Crowthian armada. Zexther's tactical officer, a young warrior named Pelman, approached with a data tablet. His scales gleamed under the bridge lights as he spoke with barely contained excitement. "Commander, our scouts have completed their observations. The humans have no unified planetary defense. Their weapons are chemical-based projectiles and early energy systems. Their largest vessels cannot even leave their own atmosphere for extended periods. Their cities are soft targets, built more for comfort than defense. We detected no shield generators, no orbital platforms, nothing that could threaten even our smallest cruiser." The Crowthians had faced species far more advanced than these humans, and yet even those had fallen before the Empire's military superiority. Zexther had personally overseen the conquest of the Thelonian system, where the natives had put up a fierce resistance with plasma cannons and gravitational weapons. The humans had nothing comparable. "What about their behavior patterns?" Zexther asked. A good commander studied his prey before the strike. Pelman scrolled through his data. "Curious, sir. They seem obsessed with entertainment and leisure activities. They spend enormous resources on what they call sports, music, and visual media. They have festivals and celebrations for seemingly trivial reasons. Their military forces are scattered and appear to spend more time on ceremony than actual combat readiness. A species that prioritized pleasure over strength deserved to be conquered. The Crowthians had eliminated such frivolities from their culture centuries ago, focusing entirely on military excellence and imperial expansion. It had made them the apex predators of this region of space. They also have an unusual attachment to other species," Pelman continued. "They keep animals in their homes as companions, not as food sources or workers. They create preserves for creatures that serve no productive purpose. Some humans even advocate for the rights of these inferior beings." The idea of caring for weaker species was absurd to Crowthian thinking. The strong dominated the weak. That was the natural order of the universe. "Commence standard invasion protocol," Zexther ordered. "Send a single cruiser to their largest population center. Demonstrate our superiority. Once they understand their position, they will surrender quickly. We can begin colonization operations within a lunar cycle." A show of force, a few demonstrations of superior firepower against military installations, and the native species would capitulate. Those who resisted would be eliminated as examples. The rest would be relocated to reservation zones, while Crowthian settlers claimed the best territories. The cruiser Bloodclaw detached from the fleet and descended toward Earth's atmosphere. Its hull glowed as it entered the upper atmosphere, a blazing sword of metal and power. Zexther watched the feeds as the ship approached a massive city the humans called New York. Millions of humans lived in those towering structures, packed together like livestock. Captain Velkoz commanded the Bloodclaw. His voice came through the communication channel with confidence. "Approaching target zone, Commander. Preparing to broadcast surrender terms in the dominant human languages. Our translators have been programmed with their communication patterns." The cruiser positioned itself above the city, its weapons systems powered but not yet armed. The standard approach was to give them a chance to surrender before demonstrating consequences. Most species, when faced with technology centuries beyond their own, chose survival over futile resistance. The broadcast went out across all human communication frequencies. Velkoz delivered the message in the flat, emotionless tone that Crowthians used for conquered species. "Humans of Earth, you are now subjects of the Crowthian Empire. Your world has been selected for colonization. Resistance is futile. You have one rotation of your planet to signal your complete and unconditional surrender. Comply and you will be treated according to imperial protocols for conquered populations. Resist and you will be eliminated. The scouts had shown him how humans reacted to minor disasters, their streets filling with frightened crowds, their leaders making desperate appeals for calm. What he got instead was silence. For exactly 17 seconds, every human communication frequency went quiet. Then, simultaneously across the planet, something unexpected happened. Laughter. Not the nervous laughter of fear, but genuine, almost insulting amusement. It echoed across radio waves, television broadcasts, and digital networks. Humans were laughing at the Crowthian ultimatum. Pellman looked confused, his scales rippling with uncertainty. "Sir, I don't understand their response. This is not standard behavior for a prey species facing conquest." The face on the screen was female, middle-aged, with silver hair and eyes that showed no fear whatsoever. She wore the uniform of what the scouts had identified as the United Nations, a weak attempt at planetary cooperation. "This is Secretary General Maria Santos speaking on behalf of the people of Earth. We have received your message, and we have a response." It was the same look he had seen on Crowthian warriors before they sprung a trap. "You made two critical mistakes in your assessment of humanity. First, you assumed that because we value peace and cooperation, we are incapable of war. Second, you assumed that because we show compassion to other species, we are weak." They stood together, unified in a way the scouts had said was impossible. "Let me educate you about humans, Commander Zexther. Yes, we know your name. We've been watching your fleet since you entered our solar system 3 weeks ago. We let you come closer. We let you feel confident. We wanted to see if you would choose diplomacy or conquest." Santos continued, her voice hardening. "You chose conquest. That was your second mistake. Humans have been fighting wars since before we discovered fire. We've fought each other for thousands of years, perfecting the art of combat in ways you cannot imagine. We've turned killing into a science, and then we chose to stop. Not because we couldn't fight, but because we decided there were better ways to live. You see our festivals and our celebrations and think we are soft. You see our love for animals and think we are weak. But you don't understand what those things really mean. They mean we fight for something beyond mere survival. They mean we have something worth protecting. And that makes us far more dangerous than any species that fights only for conquest." The screens on the Crowthian flagship suddenly filled with new data. Pellman's scales turned pale as he processed the incoming information. His voice shook as he reported to Commander Zexther. "Sir, we are detecting massive energy signatures across the Earth's surface. Underground facilities are opening. They were hidden, shielded somehow. Our scanners are showing weapons platforms rising from the oceans. Satellite networks we thought were for communication are reconfiguring into defensive grids." Secretary General Santos was still speaking, and now her words carried the weight of terrible knowledge. "You studied us for weeks, Commander, but you only saw what we wanted you to see. You saw our cities and our celebrations. You saw our divided nations and assumed we were weak. But you never asked the important question: how does a species survive on a planet as hostile as Earth? Earthquakes that split the ground open, volcanoes that buried entire regions in ash, diseases that had killed millions before humans learned to fight them. Our planet has tried to kill us since the day our species was born. We survived ice ages that should have destroyed us. We survived predators stronger and faster than we were. We survived plagues that wiped out entire civilizations. And every time something tried to destroy us, we adapted. We learned. We became stronger. Commander, I am detecting launch signatures from multiple locations. Projectiles incoming. These are not the primitive weapons our scouts reported. These are relativistic kill vehicles. They are moving at a significant fraction of light speed. Some were destroyed, but the sheer number overwhelmed the defenses. 3 projectiles struck the cruiser's hull, and the damage reports were catastrophic. "Shields at 40%, Velko's reported, his voice tight with controlled panic. "Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. We are pulling back to a higher orbit." Humanity learned long ago that the best defense is the one your enemy never sees coming. We have been preparing for contact with hostile alien species for 70 years. Every nation on Earth contributed to our planetary defense network. We built it in secret, underground beneath the oceans, in facilities that your scanners could not penetrate. He spoke with the calm authority of someone who had commanded forces in actual combat. I am General James Chen, Supreme Commander of Earth's Combined Defense Forces. Let me make our position clear. You have one opportunity to withdraw your fleet from our solar system. Leave now and we will allow you to go in peace. Remain and we will destroy every ship you have. They had dreadnoughts with weapons that could crack planets. They had thousands of fighters and elite warriors. Surely this human general was bluffing. You cannot possibly defeat our entire fleet, Zexther said, his voice projected across the communication channel. We have conquered 47 worlds. We have destroyed species far more advanced than yours. Your primitive planet cannot stand against the might of the Kralthian Empire. Commander, let me tell you about human history. 300 years ago, we had a war we called World War II. It involved most of the nations on our planet. In that single conflict, we developed weapons capable of destroying entire cities in seconds. We created bombs that split atoms and released energy comparable to stars. And that was with technology you would consider laughably primitive. Zexther felt his certainty beginning to crack. We stopped using those weapons because we decided they were too horrible, too destructive, but we never forgot how to make them. And in the centuries since, we have developed far worse. We have antimatter weapons, quantum disruptors, gravitational collapse devices. We have weapons that can sterilize entire planets or tear apart the fabric of space itself. We keep them locked away because we believe in peace, in diplomacy, in finding better solutions than mutual destruction. You saw that we protect endangered species and thought we were soft. You saw that we celebrate life and art and thought we had forgotten how to fight. But the truth is far more complex. We remember war. We remember what it costs. And we chose peace not because we are weak, but because we are strong enough to control our own violent nature. Dozens of them. These are not cargo vessels or exploration ships. These are military craft, and their power signatures are comparable to our own technology. How had the humans hidden so much from the Kralthian scouts? A new human appeared on the screen, younger than the others, wearing a different type of uniform. She spoke with enthusiasm and pride. Hi there, alien friends. I am Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, head of Earth Stealth Technology Division. I wanted to explain how we hid all this from you. You see, humans are really good at deception. We have been lying to each other, tricking each other, and hiding things from each other for our entire history. It is kind of our specialty. We created false energy signatures that made our weapons platforms look like communications satellites. We even fed your scout teams false information through our public networks, making sure you saw exactly what we wanted you to see. You thought you were being clever, studying us in secret, but we knew you were there the whole time, and we were studying you right back. You always send a single ship first, make demands, and then demonstrate your superior firepower when the natives resist. It is predictable, and predictability in warfare is a fatal weakness. This was not how conquests were supposed to proceed. The prey was not supposed to have fangs. He opened a private channel to his senior officers. Recommendations, he demanded. His weapons officer spoke first. Sir, we can deploy the fleet. Overwhelm their defenses with sheer numbers. I recommend caution. Perhaps you could destroy our cities and kill billions of humans, but it would cost you everything. Your fleet would be crippled. Your empire would be weakened. And the humans who survived would spend generations hunting down every Kralthian in the galaxy. We are very good at holding grudges, Commander. We never forget, and we never forgive those who threaten our home. You could go back to your empire and tell them that humans are not prey. Tell them that we offered peace, that we are willing to talk, to trade, to share knowledge. Tell them that we could be friends instead of enemies. The choice is yours, Commander, but you need to make it now. He thought about the 47 worlds the Kralthians had conquered, and he realized something important. None of those species had chosen to be warriors. They had been scientists, farmers, artists who were forced to fight. But humans had chosen peace while remaining warriors at heart. That made them far more dangerous than any species the Kralthians had ever faced. He made his decision. Commander Zexther stood silent on the bridge of his flagship for what felt like an eternity. Every eye was on him, waiting for his decision. His entire military career had been built on conquest and domination. The Kralthian Empire did not retreat. They did not negotiate with species they had marked for invasion. To pull back now would be seen as weakness, perhaps even cowardice. But Zexther had not survived 47 conquests by being foolish. He had survived by knowing when to press an advantage and when to recognize a trap. And this, he now understood, was definitely a trap. He opened the communication channel to the human leadership. His voice was steady, showing none of the uncertainty churning inside him. Secretary General Santos, I request a temporary cease of hostilities to discuss terms. We are willing to talk, Commander. That is all we wanted from the beginning. Send a diplomatic shuttle to these coordinates. Come unarmed and with no more than 5 members of your crew. We will guarantee your safety under the laws of diplomatic immunity that govern all civilized species. If they wanted me dead, tactical officer, they could have destroyed this entire fleet while we sat here congratulating ourselves on finding easy prey. No, these humans are serious about talking. And I intend to find out what kind of species we have really encountered. Refreshments had been provided, including water purified to match Kralthian chemistry requirements. The attention to detail was impressive and slightly unsettling. Secretary General Santos sat across from him, flanked by General Chen and Dr. Okonkwo. Several other humans were present, representing different nations and scientific disciplines. They all watched him with curiosity rather than fear or hatred. Santos spoke first. Thank you for coming, Commander. I know this requires courage, to place yourself in the hands of those you intended to conquer just hours ago. Your species has capabilities far beyond what our intelligence suggested. You could have destroyed my scout teams. You could have attacked our fleet the moment we entered your solar system. Why did you allow us to approach? Why reveal your strength only at the last moment? Okonkwo answered, her voice enthusiastic as always. Because we wanted to understand you first, Commander. When we detected your fleet, we had a choice. Attack immediately or wait and see what you would do. We chose to wait because understanding leads to better outcomes than violence. We studied your behavior, your tactics, your communication patterns. We learned about the Kralthian Empire, about the worlds you have conquered, about your culture and history. You are very good at identifying prey, Commander, but you have never actually faced a true military power. The Thelonians you mentioned. Their plasma cannons were impressive, but their tactical doctrine was purely defensive. They had no concept of asymmetric warfare, no understanding of deception or misdirection. They fought with honor and predictability, and that is why they lost. Your empire has grown because you are careful. You choose targets you can defeat. That is not a criticism, Commander. It is actually quite intelligent. But it has left you unprepared for encountering a species like humanity. You seem to know a great deal about us, more than should be possible given that we have never had contact before. We intercepted their communications, decoded their transmissions, and traced them back to your database networks. We are very good with computers, Commander. Some of our best minds spend their time breaking into secured systems just for the challenge of it. Your military networks were surprisingly accessible once we understood the encryption protocols. You could have used that information to attack us directly, sabotage our systems, cripple our fleet before we ever reached Earth. They destroy not just the losers but the winners as well. They consume resources, end lives, and create cycles of revenge that last for generations. We have experienced enough wars among ourselves to understand their true cost. Why would we want to inflict that on another species if we could avoid it? Instead of conquest or conflict, we would like to offer something different, an alliance. Commander, we have studied the worlds your empire has conquered. In most cases, you have been relatively benign as conquerors go. You relocate populations rather than exterminating them. You preserve local cultures in designated zones. You even provide technological benefits to those who cooperate. Your empire is not built on cruelty, but on pragmatic expansion. Your empire is surrounded by species that fear you or hate you. That is a dangerous position to be in. What happens when you encounter a species that is stronger than you, or when multiple conquered worlds coordinate their resistance? Your empire is powerful but brittle. More importantly, we will stand with you as partners rather than as conquered subjects or enemies. Imagine what the Kralthian Empire could become if it had true allies instead of resentful colonies. Everything in his cultural programming rebelled against this idea. Kralthians did not make alliances with weaker species. They conquered them. But were humans actually weaker? They had hidden a military capability that matched or exceeded Kralthian technology. They had infiltrated Imperial networks and studied Kralthian tactics while remaining completely undetected. They had turned what should have been an easy conquest into a potential disaster. What would this alliance entail? He asked cautiously. Ambassador Okafor smiled warmly. Trade, primarily. We have resources and technologies that would benefit your empire. Our medical science is quite advanced. Our agricultural techniques could improve food production on your colony worlds. Our entertainment industry could provide cultural enrichment. In return, you could teach us about faster-than-light travel, energy generation, and the various species that inhabit this region of space. Human creativity combined with Kralthian discipline could lead to discoveries neither species could achieve alone. We could explore the galaxy together, not as conquerors, but as partners seeking knowledge. Commander, I will be honest with you. Earth is not ready to join the galactic community yet. We are still divided in many ways, still learning to work together as a single species. But your arrival has changed everything. You have given us a common purpose, a reason to unite. Within a generation, we will be exploring the stars. The question is whether we do so as your enemies or your friends. If you choose conquest, you will face decades or centuries of guerrilla warfare. Even if you win, the cost will cripple your empire, and you will have created an enemy that will never stop, never forgive, and never forget. Humans are excellent at holding grudges, Commander. We have fought wars over insults that happened centuries ago. Humans seem to be both warrior and peacemaker, capable of terrible violence but choosing diplomacy when possible. I cannot make this decision alone, he said finally. I must consult with the Imperial Council. Take all the time you need, Commander. We Commander Zexther returned to his flagship with his mind heavy with thoughts he had never considered before. His officers gathered in the command briefing room, their scales showing various shades of confusion and concern. The situation was unprecedented in Kralthian military history. The humans have proposed an alliance, Zexther announced without preamble. They offer to share technology, resources, and knowledge in exchange for peaceful cooperation rather than subjugation. Sir, with respect, the Kralthian Empire does not ally with prey species. We conquer or we ignore. There is no middle path. Their technology is not just comparable to ours. In some areas, it surpasses what we have achieved. Their quantum computing, their medical technology, their materials science all show innovations we have not considered. If they are willing to share this knowledge, they lure us into complacency, learn our weaknesses, and then strike when we are vulnerable. These humans had every opportunity to destroy us when we were unprepared. They chose conversation instead. That speaks to their intentions more clearly than any words. The message would take time to reach the Imperial Council, and their response would take equally long to return. In the meantime, Zexther made a decision that would either make him a visionary or end his military career. Pelman, I want you to lead a small team down to Earth. Accept their offer to tour their facilities. Learn everything you can about their technology and their culture. I need to understand these humans better before the Council makes their decision. Okonkwo was giving him a tour, explaining particle physics with an enthusiasm that was almost infectious. Around them, human scientists worked at their stations, occasionally glancing at the tall alien with curiosity but no fear. We use this facility to study the fundamental nature of matter and energy, Dr. Okonkwo explained, gesturing at the massive circular tunnel that stretched for kilometers underground. By smashing particles together at incredible speeds, we can observe phenomena that normally only occur in the hearts of stars or in the moments after the universe began. It has no immediate military application. Knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Does your species not conduct similar research? The idea of spending enormous resources just to satisfy curiosity seemed wasteful, and yet he could see the results all around him. Human science had advanced in unexpected directions precisely because they pursued knowledge without demanding immediate returns. Over the next several days, Pelman and his team visited various human facilities. They toured a hospital where doctors showed them techniques for treating injuries and diseases that Kralthian medicine had not solved. They visited agricultural centers where humans grew food, using methods that produced 3 times the yield of standard Kralthian farming. They even attended something humans called a concert, where musicians played instruments that created sounds Pellman had never imagined possible. But it was a visit to a place called the International Space Station that truly changed Pellman's understanding of humanity. The station was small and primitive by Kralthian standards, barely able to house a dozen humans. Yet as he floated through the modules in zero gravity, listening to the astronauts explain their work, he realized something profound. "You built this together," he said, looking at the flags from different nations displayed throughout the station. "Your species is divided into competing nations, yet you cooperated to construct this outpost." The space station is one of humanity's greatest achievements, not because of its technology, but because of what it represents. Countries that have fought wars against each other, that have been enemies for centuries, all working together toward a common goal. If we can do that in space, imagine what we could do with genuine peace on Earth. We look down at our planet and realize how small it is, how fragile. All our conflicts, all our divisions, they seem so petty when you see Earth as one world. That perspective changed us. It made us realize we need to work together, not just as nations, but as a species. They had learned to see beyond their immediate tribal loyalties to embrace a larger identity. They were not Kralthians who had eliminated all internal differences through authoritarian control. They were humans who maintained their diversity while finding unity in shared purpose. When he returned to the flagship, Pellman made his report to Commander Zexther. The tactical officer spoke with a conviction that surprised even himself. "Sir, I believe we should accept their alliance. These humans are not prey. They are not even potential subjects. They are something we have never encountered before. They are equals." The Supreme Chancellor's image appeared on the screen, his ancient scales bearing the scars of 100 battles. His 4 eyes studied Zexther with an intensity that had intimidated generals for decades. "Commander Zexther, the Council has reviewed your report with great interest. Your recommendation of an alliance with this human species is highly irregular. It violates centuries of Kralthian doctrine. I understand that my recommendation is unprecedented. Commander, the Council is not blind to the reality of our situation. The Kralthian Empire has grown large, but we have no friends. Every species we have conquered waits for the opportunity to rebel. We spend more resources maintaining control over our territories than we gain from them. The Empire is strong but stagnant. Their approach to science and technology is radically different from ours. They explore multiple paths simultaneously, sharing information freely among their researchers. This creates redundancy and inefficiency, but it also produces unexpected breakthroughs. Their medical technology alone could extend the average Kralthian lifespan by 30%. Power without purpose creates enemies. The Empire has been powerful for centuries, but what have we actually achieved? We control territory, but we have created nothing of lasting value. No art, no philosophy, no scientific advancement beyond military applications. Perhaps these humans can teach us how to build rather than simply take. The Council authorizes you to negotiate a formal alliance with Earth. Offer them membership in what we will now call the Kralthian Commonwealth. Equal partners rather than conquered subjects. How will our people react to treating others as equals? They have reinvented themselves dozens of times throughout their history. Perhaps they can teach us to do the same. They were warriors facing a challenge unlike any they had encountered before. Not a battle to be won through superior firepower, but a transformation that would require courage of a different kind. "Contact Secretary General Santos," Zexther ordered. "Inform her that the Kralthian Empire, or rather, the Kralthian Commonwealth, would be honored to welcome humanity as our first true allies." The blue planet that had seemed like easy prey now represented something far more valuable. A chance for redemption, for growth, for becoming something better than they had been. The humans had been right about one thing. They were not prey. They were teachers.